Alright, here we go with the Math 1 Congruency Triangles second part. So this one is just finishing up the problems we didn't get to. So hopefully you've already tried them and kind of just using this as a way to figure out what it is you still needed some help with. So, all these notes, you'll catch that on the other video, which I would recommend watching if you missed it. And the problems I crossed out are the ones that we have already done. So we're just going to kind of pick it up where we left off and go from there. So, this first set of questions, it says complete each congruent statement by naming the corresponding angle or side. So essentially here we're given the name, we're also given the triangles, we're determining, given one piece of one triangle, what's the congruent piece that is corresponding to that, okay? So, the key, if you recall, is the order of the name, okay? If you're just given the name, it's the order of the name. So T corresponds with B, S corresponds with C, and R with A. And I didn't do a very good job of crossing those out. We can also see it on the picture based off of the lines, okay? Notice T has one mark, and B also has one mark. S has two, C has two. S in the middle, C in the middle. R has three, A has three at the ends, okay? You can also check out the sides and see those corresponding sides. So, T corresponds with B, like we said, S with C, and A with R. Then, SR corresponds with AC, BC corresponds with ST, and TR here corresponds with AB. Okay, so we've got line RT there, so T and R are on the outside, so we know it's got to correspond with the lines on the outside, B and A. So I'd go line BA. Now I could write out line AB, that's the same thing. Remember also that this mark right here, the equal sign with the toupee, that's our congruency sign. Okay? So let's take a look at the rest of these three and see what sides they correspond with. So SQ, S and Q are on the outside, S and Q right here, 3 tick marks. So it should be the two on the outside, S and U, S and U. So line SU. Okay, for 11, we've got VU, the first two letters, V and U, 1 tick mark. So TK has the 1 tick mark, so KT, same thing. So line KT. Okay, and then number 12, XW. XW is the last two letters in here, so JK should correspond. Let's double check. XW, so 2 tick marks. K and J, 2 tick marks. So line JK. Alright, so that's that group. Now the next group with 4 on this page and the 1 on this one, we're now given the triangle names and that they're congruent, and we've got to mark it up like it's marked up here. Okay, all those markings on the triangles. So once again, we look at the order. IHJ is congruent to HIW. So what I like to do is mark up the angles first. So angle I and angle H. Okay, now there's a problem, because I could call that angle I could call that angle I, or I could call the whole thing angle I. Okay? So maybe we should start with ones that we can see easier. W and J. Okay? So angle J and angle W would match up. Okay? Now we can think in terms of that triangle name. So angle WHI, okay, W, then H, then I, that would go WHI, should match up the same order. So JIH. So JIH with WHI. Okay? So it would look like this. That's JIH with WHI. Then those ones would match up as well. Alright, now we've got just the other angles. So WIH, WIH or HIW, be that one, with JHI or IHJ. That would be in the same way as well. Okay, then we do the sides. Now, you can look at it and say, well, side IH, so IH right here, is going to correspond to HI, which is that same side. See how they share that side, so it makes sense that that would be the same length, right? Okay, then we look at HJ. So HJ would be right here, would correspond with IW, making WH correspond with IJ. And there we go. Make sure on those ones that you don't do this. Just mark everything once, because then you're saying everything is the same size, which could be true. If you had two equilateral triangles that were the same length, that would work, but that doesn't tell us what we need to know. Just like how they do it, they've got the different marks to show you. Alright, so let's take a look at these. So FC, so F corresponds to C, G and A, and H and B. So then I could go FG with CA, GH with AB, and then finally HF with CA, or CB, sorry. Okay. Alright, another way you can think about it is by just, once you get those angles in, just match up by the angle. So I could say A and C, 1 and 3, G and F, 1 and 3, those correspond. G and H, 1 and 2, A and B, 1 and 2, and then the other side. Okay, so there's multiple ways you can kind of think through that part. Now if we look at 16, we've got X here. See, once again, that's ambiguous, so I've got to think of the angle. So a way to think about that is, if we were looking at this angle, that would be WXV for the angle. Okay, notice that that's not the same order as this. But if we shifted the W in front, it would be. So if we shift the T in front, that would correspond to TXV. So TXV. So that tells us that those two X angles would match up. Okay, then W and T are in the same position, so that's an easy one to match up. Which probably tells us that these two, that TV XVT with XVW. Okay, then they share a side, so definitely that's going to match up, be congruent. Then 1 to 3, 1 to 3, so those will match up. And then 2 to 3, 2 to 3, so those ones will also match up. Doesn't look quite as beautiful as their version of it, but it'll work. Okay, 17 and 18, let's just keep it going. So, angle Y with angle Z. Okay, now it's Z and BA, so it'd be BZA, or AZB, so it'd be that one. X with B, and then Z with A. So you can pretty much assume it's that one. Then we can see they're kind of in the same position, so that side should correspond to that side, these two, and then the bottoms. That's all. It's almost like they just shifted it over triangle length, isn't it? Okay, now 18 looks a little crazy, doesn't it? So sometimes it's a good idea to piece through what you're looking at. So JLK, is one triangle, and XYK is the other. So it's kind of like they are crossing each other, but didn't quite go very far. Okay? So angle J, the first letter, corresponds with X. Okay, so one mark here, one mark there. Then L with Y, L was up here, with Y down here, and then K with K. So remember, that's this side of K, as well as, I'm going to do this one in purple, this side of K. So this one looks really weird. So that's their angles. Then the sides would be like this. JL, let's use 3 tick marks, with XY. Okay. LK with YK. And then finally JK with KX. So that's how the sides would look. Hard to visualize that one because of how mixed up they look. Alright, now on these ones, this next section here, says write the statement. So this time we're given what's congruent. So we're basically doing the opposite of this. We're writing the name based off of the triangles. Okay? So I know I'm going to have triangle something congruent to triangle something else. So K is our first one. I usually start with the single line. Corresponds to E on the other side. Then I go to the 2, which would be M. Then the 2 here would be L. Then the 3 on the left side would be L with G. And I have to make sure to put the triangles in front to tell me that it's a triangle. So triangle KML is congruent to triangle ELG. And that's all we do on those ones. So seems a little bit less work because you don't have to write as much. So angle L is going to be congruent to angle K. And we're going to use them more than once because they're part of both triangles. Then K, and then back to L, and then M and V. So there we go for 21. For 22, we don't have to do it in that order. I could go angle G, then F, then E is congruent to triangle, oh, we started at 3, didn't we? M, L, and E. Okay, so I could write it in multiple ways as long as I have the correct order and the corresponding pieces connected. That's all that really matters. Okay, so 23. J, so triangle J, K, L is congruent to triangle L, V, and W. Okay, now those sides will match up as long as we get the angle, so we don't really have to worry about doing it according to the sides. Last one in this section. So triangle K, J, L is congruent to triangle B, C, A. And there's our triangle names. Alright, now on the last one here, we are once again matching up just like we did at the beginning here. Difference is we aren't given all the tick marks, and then eventually we get rid of even the triangle, so we're just dealing with the names. So we're just looking at the order essentially. Okay, so 25. Angle BCD. Remember when they give you a 3-letter name of the angle, the middle one is the vertex. So start at BCD. So that angle is congruent to what angle in our other side? Well, B is right here, then C, then D. So I'd have to go that same order. U, then C, then D. So it would be angle UCD. Now you could go angle DCU, same thing. What you can't do is change that middle term. Okay, that one won't work to change. Okay, now 27. So line LN, okay, notice it's the last two letters, so it should correspond with our last two letters, EC. So it's side EC. Okay, 28, we've got ML, same setup here. ML corresponds to TU. So side TU. Okay, now 29, we've just got ZY, first two, so we do the first two, ZB. Okay, now the rest are angles, so 32, angle X, X is the last letter, so it's going to be angle S. If we jump down to 36, U is also the last letter, so it's going to be, X would be its corresponding congruent piece. 35, N is the first letter, so we go for the first letter, angle P. And then this one, JHI, J is at the end, so I'm going to start with Y, so angle Y, then H, so then I go I, then they go I, so I go my middle one, H. So, there we go, guys. There's all the rest of those. Like I said, watch the other video to make sure you get all the other stuff you missed. And between the two, should be good.